Hi, and welcome to Coach's Corner, where systems matter and both personal and professional learning and development is beneficial for everyone and essential for some. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started.
So then as we move to the next category, which is calls versus emails versus texts.
Yeah.
What do you think out of those three the best way to contact someone is?
It's a phone call. Right? Get on the phone. And when you say best, I'm guessing you mean the highest ratios to set an appointment. Yeah, I mean, look, it's easier to either dismiss a text, right? So let's talk about it. So you had a girlfriend at one time who would text you, and you maybe want to get back to her for an hour or so, right? And it wasn't like you didn't want to get back to her, but it was like whatever. Well, have you ever had a text from anybody in your whole life where you're like, I just didn't get back to them?
Yeah.
Okay, right? Because it's easier. Now, if I said to you face to face, human touch, it's going to be harder for you to tell me no, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I always like a phone call or a face to face, even better.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick, I wanted to ask you if I could sit down with you and have an appointment.
Right.
What's it about? Well, that's why I need 60 minutes. And then I know I'm going to break down a basic financial presentation for you and encourage you to move forward.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think those other ways, I call them chicken ways, right? And so now maybe I'm wrong with, I don't know as much because maybe in this day and age, it's, that's more acceptable and it'll work out or whatever. Or my other one that you didn't ask about, this is my all-time favorite, they leave a message.
Oh, I can ask.
Long-winded, right? Yeah. Okay. Hey, so I'm going to give you a presentation. I'm going to talk to you about the stock market. I'm going to talk to you about and then the cave, and then I'm going to talk to you more about life insurance, and then I'm going to talk to you about a Roth IRA. And so what are they really saying? I'm so scared that I'm going to tell you everything, so that you can then turn me down politely because you already know. Yeah. I would never do that. I'd be like, yo, call me. I'd hang up the phone.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question. What happens if with a phone call they don't answer and you have to leave a voicemail?
Nick, you need to give me a call. It's fairly urgent. Not an emergency, but fairly urgent. Well, what are you going to think about that? You'll be like, well, it's not. I don't want to say it's an emergency because then you're scared.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Right.
But I can say, it's fairly urgent. Well, it's, fairly urgent, right? Yeah. Or I would just be like, hey, Joe, I need to talk to you as soon as I can. And so that's my personality too. And people be like, oh, well, that's just Brett or Coach Little Z23.
Yeah.
Versus maybe my wife be like, oh, hey girl, how you doing? Yeah. Hopefully everything's good with your nail. So do it within your own personality, but don't give them everything.
Right.
And that's why I used to tell them, well, what is it about? What is it? Well, that's why I need 60 minutes. I can't break it down for you in 3 minutes on the phone.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, then no. Then you don't want to meet with me. Then can I meet with one of your,
Right.
So I'd always kind of turn it on them to where, it was like, I'm going to win the backstory. I don't like the word, but I'm going to be in control of this because I am a professional salesperson, which says I know what to do more so than you should know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. And then I know that you brought up your tickler file before.
Yeah.
When it comes to someone on the tickler file, do you call them as well, or is that when you would use your email? Or?
Yeah. So you want to be, you have to look at your own time.
Yeah.
So to pick up the phone, to make a phone call, to, even leave a message, that's a lot longer time than to just send a quick text.
Right.
Right. If you have to talk to them for a couple, 3 minutes, to get an appointment, that's an extra 3 minutes versus the other. And so once they've told me no, remember there's a no never. You're not on my file. I'm done with you. Yeah. But then there's the no not right now. Then I'm just going to touch you probably once a month or once every couple months, depending. And I've told you the story about that with my brother, who was a real estate agent. He had a gal in town in Bakersfield, and the mom lived in L.A., and he worked like 6 or 7 months, hard with this gal. And then it just didn't work out. And so 3 months later, he sees the daughter and goes, hey, how's your mom doing? Oh, she moved in up the street. And he's like, pulled out all the hair.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not use me as the realtor? Well, that was my brother's fault. That wasn't their fault because out of sight, out of mind. And so when they give you the little magnets to put on your refrigerator, right? I mean, Rusty's is not stupid, the pizza place.
No.
They give you the coupons because you go stick it on your refrigerator and you walk by there every day and open it up 8 times a day, or sometimes 10 in my case, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just little things like that. But yeah, I'm not here to waste my time.
Right.
But in the same breath, I realize life is about timing.
Yeah.
And so if I continue to just tickle you, it might be the right timing for you, and you call me.
Yeah, got it. And so now that we're in this new era of 2021 and everything like that, and people are texting.
Yeah.
Wherever it's texting. Do you think that texting would be more effective than it was back in your day?
Yeah, well, first of all, they didn't have text back in the caveman day. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, I probably, but I've never done it like that, so I really don't want to speak on it.
Yeah.
But I would think you're right on that. Like if I had to, guess, even if it was 50.1 yes, 49.9 no. But I think that, I think you have a chance at it. But I still know, no matter what, probably through, the course and the history of time, it's harder to tell somebody no to their face.
Right.
They do the long maybes, or they'll say yes even if they mean no.
Yeah.
Then they have buyer's remorse,
Yeah.
right? Which nobody likes either. But also in my mind, I won't sell the service, product, or merchandise if I don't believe in it 100%. So no matter how you buy, I'm good with it because I already know it's probably best for you, or I wouldn't be sharing it with you to begin with. Now I'm not, I don't know, maybe it's really not best for you, but in my mind, I wouldn't share it with you if I thought there was a chance it would not be the best.
You're right, got it. And then for calls, texts, and emails, what are the 3 advantages? An advantage for each one, and then the disadvantage for each one.
I think they're all surrounding time, and
Okay.
so I look at it and go time and effectiveness for the most part. So you got the the treble and you got the bass on let's say a radio or something. To me, it's just all about that. So obviously, an email is going to be medium.
Mm-hmm.
A phone call is going to be instant. A text can be instant, but it can also be a back and forth.
Right.
Because you can only say so much on there.
Yeah.
So I think it just has to, to me, it always comes down to quantity and quality. And you got the quantity of time, and then you have the quality of the time. And I know that if I can go face to face with you, and I can get you seated at your table where you eat with your friends and family, the psychological warfare says I'm in a pretty good spot, because now you're seeing me as friends and family, because we're dipping into the same food, so to speak, right? And so if I've done all of the things correct up front, and then I happily involve you in the presentation to where you're saying yes, I call them the little yeses to get to the big yeses, right? So if I can get you to do what you just did, which is shake your head, or to say or whatever, those are what we call tie downs. Okay. Those little tie downs are the little yeses that get to the big yes, which is, hey, you ready to move forward with this, $100, whatever, right, football card or life insurance policy or wheel or whatever else you're selling. It's all the same, in my opinion. Sales is sales is sales.
Got it. And so that will lead into our next topic, which is setting up a meeting.
Yeah.
And so this wasn't the first question, but since you brought it up, I'll ask it. When it comes to setting up the meeting on where you're going to meet, do you want to meet somewhere neutral, like at a Burger King? Do you want to meet at their house, your house? I mean, where is the typical place that you would meet up for, insurance?
Yeah, that's a great question. Very great question. So, if you can get them at their house, at their table, you have a much better chance than your office and your whatever. Okay. And then you have the neutral ground, which is the Starbucks and everywhere in between. So, I think we could debate all what I'm saying here. Yeah. You could say to me, another salesperson, like, no, it's best to show them my office, and I have, I'm buttoned up, and I've got this, and I got my Ferrari in the front, and, so there's a part of that too that shows success. Yeah. But for me, I'm gonna talk to you about, from who I am and my passion about this service, product, or merchandise. Yeah. I don't care where it's at. I've done it in the back alley before and sold insurance or other product, services, or merchandise. Yeah. I've done it at their house. I've done it in the garage. I've done it. It don't make me any difference. Yeah. But I would say for, being we're trying to to help the general public out there. I would say anytime, COVID, that's tough too, but anytime you can get them in their own house at the table that represents friends and family, probably you have your ratios will go up.
And so, you're on the phone with Rob.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Rob. And
Deerdick?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Rob Deerdick.
And you get, and so, hey, we're going to meet Tuesday at 12.
Yes.
Where do you go from there?
So first of all, I would never say, hey, we're going to meet, but I would talk to them and say, hey, what's a good time for you? Or what we call the, kid in the candy clothes. Hey, so you said Monday's good. Would it be at noon or around 3? Which would be better for you? So the chocolate with nuts or the chocolate without. It's called an alternative close.
Okay.
But whatever the case may be, that, they're going to probably tell you what's the best time. Mm-hmm. But if you just say to them, hey, what's the best time? They're going, yeah. So if you get it to a Friday and you say, hey, what's the best time on Friday? Would it work better in the morning or the afternoon? Right. Would it work better in around lunchtime or at breakfast? Would it work better at lunchtime or right before dinner? So you kind of give them what I call the alternative or the alternate close.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, oh, okay, 3 o'clock at whatever time.
Yeah.
So then what I do is I make sure that appointment's going to stick. Right. And what I say to them is, hey, I've never missed an appointment in 9 years. I don't plan on missing this one. But on the outside chance that I do, I promise you I will call you 24 to 72 hours in advance to reschedule. And just to give you a quick story about how serious I am, Rob, I was on my deathbed, literally dying in the ICU unit, and I had my wife call to reschedule an appointment. Right. So that's how serious I am, because I'm a respecter of people's time. Yeah. And so they're like, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, you being who you are, and I think you are a person of credibility like I am, that you would give me that same kind of, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And what are they going to say? No, I'm an idiot. Yeah. So I would never do that, right? And so now I've tightened that appointment, right? So then from there, I do what I call the pre-appointment routine. 30 to 90 minutes before I'm going to meet with them on that Tuesday at noon, I contact them. Now this one you can do it with a text, but you can call either, because they have to tell you no. Right. So there's a game there, and you can leave a long message. Hey, gives them a chance to think on how to say no. Right. And so if I'm already convinced you need to be at the presentation, then I'm not going to give you chances to think about how to get out of it. Right. Because everybody wants to get out. It's like going to vacation. It could be the greatest thing in the world. You're like, man, I don't feel like, getting my stuff, right? Yeah. So we play these mental games with ourselves. So I have to make sure as a professional salesperson that I understand the games and make sure that I'm doing the backstory and able to beat them, so to speak. Yeah. So I call to confirm, not to remind. Right. Now, what am I really doing? I'm reminding them, right? Yeah. But I'm a grown folk. I don't ever want to be reminded, even if they're reminding me. Yeah. Like my wife will say, I look at it, I'm like, I'm a grown person. Yeah. You mean you're confirming that we have a dinner date to do our nails at 2, right? Or whatever. And so now I've taken that loosey-goosey appointment to when I say, now I'm going to do it this way, will you do the same, to really tighten out of this pre-appointment routine. My ratios were pretty high. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was
and one more thing. Yeah. And I'm closing the whole time. So they're getting this rhythm of this guy closes. They don't know this. Right. But I'm getting this rhythm of closing. And then as we talked about in the presentation, I'm getting these little yeses or these tie downs. So they're agreeing with me this whole time. There's a lot of that psychological warfare
going on, right? And so that was, like you said, 30 to 90 minutes before. Yeah. How was it, 24 to 12 hours before? Was that like, okay, now I'm getting my computer ready, my papers ready, stuff like that to show them? Or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so the prep beforehand, I was already pre-prepped. So I would look at a weekly cycle and I would go, okay, I want to sell 10 applications of insurance. So I would put 20 out, right? Next, I'm like, I want to try to have all that. I'd have extra pins. I would have, I would just get all that ready to go. Yeah. So that no matter what came across, including a screaming kid, I already knew how to deal with it. Yeah. And then right before, I just would quickly double check everything, do my confirmation 90 minutes or an hour before. If you do it 2 hours, it's too soon. They'll forget again.
Right.
Right. That's why it's 30 to 90 minutes. And just on a side note for the audience, trick of the trade, what about if it's an early appointment? So if it's like 8 in the morning, it's 7 or 8 a.m.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And so on those, I would usually confirm the night before, like around 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so depending, or I'd ask them, hey, are you an early riser or whatever? And then I would rise early. Well, I'm an early riser anyway. I'm an early bird. But either way, then I would send them something maybe 30 minutes ahead.
Right.
We were going to meet at, let's say, 6 in the morning. 5:30, I'm going to hit them up. And then at 5:15, that's another thing I want to tell you. If 15 minutes before I haven't heard back from them on a confirmation, I send them one more. I make a phone call. If I don't hear from you within 5 minutes, then this is done.
Yeah.
Like we're done meeting. And if they call me 7 minutes, I say I'll reschedule with you, but we're not having a meeting today. Yeah. I always wanted to be a man, of my word, so to speak. Right. So that gives you a little extras in there.
Yeah, gotcha. And so with phone calls on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the question is, when do you want to meet? How fast were you wanting to meet with them? So if they're like, well, I can meet whenever. So
that's another great question.
When are you like, well, then let's meet today? Or, how does that work?
That's kudos to you, man. I'm serious. Like, these are great questions. This is going to find the audience well when they listen to this, because these are all great questions. So I always said, if it wasn't within 72 hours, they were full of crap.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, the psychology of the other person is, I want to tell you no, but I'm going to give you a long maybe.
Right.
And I used to tell people that too. That was another thing that I've said to people. I said, now you're telling me that you want to meet in 2 weeks. I'm going to tell you right now, there's zero chance of that happening. Yeah. And they go, oh no, I'm special. Rah, 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 rah. Yeah. And I said, dude, whatever. I've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than you'll ever think about doing it. And I'm telling you right now, this ain't going to happen. Yeah. So I'd rather you just tell me no, so that I can move on to either my next line of questioning, or I can shake your hand and move on. Right? Because in the end, I want to help them. So sometimes you got to be, quote unquote, stern with them.
Right.
So I would say, depending on what it is that you're trying to sell them.
Yeah.
But usually a week, that's about as long as I would want to go.
Okay.
If I was truly trying to sell them something.
Yeah.
Now, again, if they're a whale, it could be, 4 months.
Right, because they're busy, obviously.
They're busy people, yeah. I mean, if somebody tried to get a hold of me right now, yeah, it's possible that I can, talk to you within 72 hours.
Yeah.
But it ain't probable. I'm busy.
Right, yeah.
Right? But I always say, I don't care. I'll pay my money and take my chances.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I'll call the president. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
They're going to, lock me up and throw me away, or whatever.
Right. And so before we move on, is there anything that, that I should have asked you that I didn't, or anything you'd like to share with the audience that you thought of from any of the line of questioning?
I feel like we're covering a lot here. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of nuggets in here. I can make a course out of this, and make it more systemic, obviously. Right. But the hodgepodge is good, and I think that's kudos to you, because, if you ask great questions, which you have, and a lot of great ones, it makes, my job easy, because it's like, wow, you forget about some of those little things that you do naturally, because it just becomes like clockwork.
Right.
Like, I forget about the pre-appointment routine, or the, all that, because I just do it naturally now. So I'm glad that that you're able to pull that out of me, and hopefully that helps the audience, because I think this would be a great video, both of them.
Nice, perfect.
Part 1 and part 2, baby. With bonus questions.
Yeah, with bonus questions.
That have nothing to do with sales, but they're fun.
So now we're going to move into time and hours.
Okay.
And so as a salesman or self-employed independent contractor, you make your own hours.
Yeah.
And as you kind of said earlier, I'll make a phone call at 8. And they're probably eating breakfast. I'll call them at noon. They're eating lunch.
Yeah.
So they probably, most of the time, will run into issues because they always put it off, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get your people? Because I know how you beat it, right?
Yeah.
You just did it. How did you get your people to beat it, though?
We called it sacred time.
Okay.
And I said, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock, I do not care. If you're on your deathbed, you're making 60 minutes worth of calls.
From 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.?
Yep.
Okay.
Right? So, because I get it, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, people are getting in the office, they're trying to figure it out, whatever.
Yeah.
But from 9 to 10, there's no excuses.
Okay.
And I said, and if you want to be a star, you go from 9 to 11.
2 hours, okay.
Yep. And I said, if you want to be a superstar,
yeah,
then you go from 9 to 12. And no matter what else is going on in that day, other than one thing, and that's called a presentation, you make phone calls for those 30 or 60, 120, and 180 minutes.
Right, like if you had a presentation from 9
yeah, because that always trumps everything.
Right.
Because that's going to allow you to help that person, and it's going to allow you to help you, which is the win-win. So, so if the appointment was set, you're not going to be like, I got to go make phone calls during my sacred time. Yeah. No, that trumps all.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you need to contact Brett or Coach, please do so on his social media accounts, email, and or text. You can find that information in the description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed.
Now we move into the bonus questions.
Well, bonus.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how funny are you?
I don't know, probably 7.